Hello and welcome back to the Early Bar Football Podcast, episode 33, and it's deadline day. It's transfer deadline day. Big cheers and applause for deadline day. Jim White, Chris had a haircut. It's great scenes. We're buzzing. We're absolutely buzzing. It's been like 2 weeks since we've been live. Just been a very busy life, really. That's all I can put it down to personally. I'm sure the boys are the same. But there's 4 of us here today. I'm joined by Ash. Hello, Ash. How are you?
Hello, Tang. I'm good. Thanks. Managed to take in some football over the 2 weeks. Saw the mighty Solihull Moors thrash plucky Dover Athletic 5-0 in the National League. Who are still on minus points. Still haven't won a game all season, but
no, they did. They did win one. They won 1-0. Yeah.
Oh, that is scenes.
They're on -5 now, I believe.
At the Dover.
Well done, Dover. Apologies for that shocking lie to start the podcast.
Well done, Ben. Very good.
Thank you for the year 6 joke.
Come on.
Yeah.
Real mature.
Ben and Eileen. Great.
Goodness sake. Well, Ed's here. Hello, Ed.
Yeah, hello. Welcome.
Do you have any more primary school jokes for us today?
No more. I'll just drop them in throughout the podcast.
Are you okay? How are you?
Yeah, very well. Very well.
That's it. Great.
That's it, yeah.
I thought you were going to add something
I've
to it.
not got any yellow on. I've not gone deadline day attire like Ash.
No, you haven't. You have gone really all out, Ash. I'm really proud. And that's why you're in the hot seat up here with
He's
me.
in gold!
You've been watching too much of the wheel there.
Yeah, I might actually apply. That's another story.
Is that the Michael McIntyre one?
It is, yeah.
Yeah.
I don't get that. I really don't.
What can you not get? It's really
because right, there was like a footballer on it, and one of the topics was football, obviously.
Yeah.
And then they swung it around, and then it landed on
somebody else.
Gareth Malone, the guy who did the BBC Choir.
Yeah.
Is that meant to be the thing, or is that like I don't get it?
So each celebrity has a topic that they're good at. And then you spin the wheel to see who you have as your helper. So the contestant
could it land on
if it lands on the expert,
you're balling.
Then you get more money if you get it right. But the funny thing is trying to watch people like Gareth Malone understand and answer a question about
name all 47 goal scorers in the Champions League.
Sorry, somebody just tried to call me on Teams. Like, for
get it off.
It's 7:30. It is off. Why? I don't know.
Get it
what
off.
I'm saying is available.
What a terrible time for everyone involved there.
Sorry, I completely butchered the rest of that answer. Yeah, sorry, trying to watch people like Gareth Malone answer questions on football. Banter.
God. Yeah, well,
the prize money isn't as good as Limitless Win though. It's still good, but not as good as Limitless Win.
Interesting. Well, we have the resident game show aficionado here in Ed Priest. And Chris, hello. You used to have a mustache, but you've had a haircut, and that's why you were late today.
That is why I was late today. Yeah, that is why I was late today. But it was much needed. It was much needed.
Yeah, of course.
I mean, after 2 weeks away, I don't think the viewers would want to see me. You know,
it's a pretty sharp haircut. I think
it is.
I don't know what you boys think. I think it looks very good.
Superb. It's lovely to see for the podcast as well.
For the podcast,
yeah, literally just for the podcast and for nothing else.
No other reason.
Absolutely.
Did you do the mustache as well or not? Just give that.
No.
Wax in the ears, nothing like that. No. It wasn't a Turkish barber then.
If it was not a Turkish barber.
Did you go to the barber or did the barber come to you?
No, I went to the hairdresser's house.
Oh, very modern.
Oh wow, that was not even an option that I gave. Wow, unbelievable. What a
none of the above.
See, none of the above.
Yeah, please state other.
Right, let's talk about transfer. Let's talk about football. It's been 2 weeks. Let's talk about transfer deadline day. I need to actually type out the actual banner. I've been so terrible with this. Here we go. Add the banner. Transfer deadline day. It only comes across twice a season. It's a great day. Jim White comes out of hiding, similar to when Michael Bublé comes out of like Christmas hiding, or comes out of hiding for Christmas.
Comes out at Christmas.
Yeah.
Oh, no.
Hello. Stop it. Oh no.
It's Christmas.
Oh dear. I don't know how we can come back from that.
No.
But anyway, it's been actually crazy. We all thought Newcastle would spend billions and billions of pounds, and actually Ed found out before pre-pod they've actually spent about £80 million, which is actually quite a lot.
It's a big chunk on 3 players as well. Obviously,
players,
half of it has gone on Bruno.
On Bruno, not that Bruno. Man United fans, don't worry. But also they did recoup money by selling some guy to Accrington Stanley for an undisclosed fee. So that could have been the whole profits made back there. They could have made money this window. We just don't know.
I think in reality that's probably paid for about a week of Kieran Trippier's wages.
That much?
Yeah.
Like maybe
Well, what do you reckon Kieran Trippier's on?
I don't know.
£100 a week?
200, maybe. Don't know.
Is there any? Let me Google it. You chat amongst yourselves.
Are Accrington spending 100k on a player? I just thought so.
Kieran Trippier.
Probably not.
No?
I can't imagine John Coleman spent £100 on a player. He'd probably rapidly fall out in love with football if he'd done something like that.
Well, here we go. www.thedailymail.co.uk.
Oh, no.
Great
Oh,
source.
no.
Great source.
Absolute toilet paper.
Says Kieran Trippier's salary is not in excess of £100,000 a week.
Oh, really?
Don't know why they reported that way, but that's
So
what
I'm
they've
not
said.
wrong.
Yeah, yeah. But then www.themirror.co.uk says it is on £100,000 a week on the dot.
Another absolute toilet establishment.
So yeah, I don't know. We'll talk about that. But yeah, like lads, let's talk about who's had the best transfer window. Which team do you think has made the best transfer dealings in January? Barnes, what do you think? That's just a very open, loaded question for you.
That is an open, loaded question.
After 2 weeks out, quite an open, loaded question for you.
And I feel through my lack of preparedness, I'm going to shift it straight back onto you, Tang, and I'll just ask you quickly about the Man Mountain, Dan Burn, moving from Brighton to Newcastle. How do you feel about that? It's a very strange transfer, I thought. I mean, value for money in terms of how tall he is quite nice.
If we're talking
million per inch.
Yeah, exactly. It's probably one of the best value transfers from that perspective. But what do you think about it? I don't know. I did not see it coming.
I tell you what, I'd like to see value for most inches per pound transfer ratio. I think that'd be really good.
Crouch will definitely. He's been transferred loads.
Yeah, but no, I think I'm pretty sure Dan Burn is a Geordie.
Yeah, he was at Newcastle Academy when he was younger.
There you go. It would be boyhood club, and to be honest, to go back to your boyhood club and earn a bucket ton of money would probably be quite a nice thing, wouldn't it? Plus, he's like 7 foot, so he'd actually be able to be like, he'd be able to say hello to the people in the away stand at Newcastle, considering how high it is.
Yeah, he would.
Which is good. Chris has been there.
Yeah,
So,
he certainly would.
Exactly.
High five with that. Oh, Dan, how you doing?
No, Dan, yeah, just having a great time. I'm having a wee great time. So I think it's an interesting one. But like Brighton, they've got he was playing left back. Or left? No, he wasn't really playing left wing back. He was playing left back when they were playing four at the back. Now Cucurella is the greatest left back the Premier League has ever seen, and left wing back. So he's kind of lost his place. But then he did come back for maybe the last month or so, when Dunk's been out, and I think Duffy's been out as well. So it's an interesting one. I don't think Brighton would miss him, but if they can get a big payday out of him, I don't see why not.
Brighton have a good defence, don't they? So, but it was just an odd one because he was in. I seem to remember him being in Brighton's first team quite recently. But going back to now I've had time to listen to you and actually think of an answer. Recency bias of who's had the best day today, or could have the best day today.
Good, very good.
I think I'm going to go with Everton, although I'm going to caveat it slightly with it could go horrendously wrong. I think Donny van der Beek and Dele Alli, has that deal happened, or if that deal comes off,
Ed said
two
that,
excellent players.
It's not.
At time of recording, it's not like done deal. I think he's having a medical.
Okay, well, I'm going to just go ahead and assume it's going to happen and say that if they get Ali and Donny van der Beek, that's 2 players. If we look back, you remember that Champions League semi-final when Ajax played Spurs, and you were thinking these 2 players in 3 years' time will be playing for Everton. No one would believe you. So I think although obviously both of them have had tough times, and that's obviously why they're going to Everton, it's hard to say that's not a good signing for a team that's 15th or 16th in the Premier League. Other than that,
with the new manager as well. With the new
manager, we might come on to that later. I'm not sure if we spoke about that on the podcast, but Villa as well, another one that have had a good window, got rid of a few fringe players and brought in Coutinho for Aston Villa. That's a huge signing. And lastly, just a little controversial one. I'm sure Chris will come on to it later. But I actually think Arsenal have had a good window, despite the fact they have signed absolutely no one. Just because they have got rid of some absolute dross from their team that needed to go and had needed to go for years. I think
Are
they've
you
done
calling
well.
Pablo Mari dross?
He's only gone on loan.
I'm not calling
He's coming
Pablo
back.
Mari dross. Callum Chambers been there too long. They've got rid of quite a few players. Kolasinac been there way too long. Aubameyang, I think.
He's on the way.
Time
He's
of
done an
run out
Odem
is
wingy.
looking.
He's on his way.
He's probably not going to go now. I've said this. Him and Ali will both still be in. I'll look like an idiot. But yeah, I don't know what Chris feels about how Arsenal's window. I'm sure he'll come on to it.
Go on, Chris. Take the floor.
Yeah, go on, Chris. Take the floor, please.
I think outgoings it's been good, but I think ingoings it's been absolutely shambolic. Arsenal needs someone. Top four is there for the taking, and Arsenal need not only that, we also got to look to the future. Lacazette and Nketiah are both out of contract in the summer. You might as well get in a new striker now and embed them into the squad. And like I said before, this is Arsenal's best opportunity to get back into the top four. But we've got no European football. We're now not even in a cup anymore. So it gives us enough time to prepare for games and that. And the fact that Arsenal have literally done nothing. I mean, Arsenal haven't even won a game in January. They've only scored one goal. I mean,
you've really set him off.
Right, Chris. But going back to one of your points you just made, Arsenal are out of all competitions, so they don't actually have that many games left to play. They've got one competition to focus on. Surely it's better to not panic buy and just buy a striker for spend, I don't know, say let's get Alexander Isak's release clause at 70 million. Surely it's better just to not buy someone, maybe bring through a youth player and just consolidate to the end of the season, even if you don't get top four. I know you are correct that it is a great opportunity for them, but I just feel like Arsenal in the past have panic bought in January and made big mistakes that's hindered them in future transfer windows. It's better to get players off the books and at least have a plan of where you want to go. I mean, whether they do or don't have a plan, we don't know. They'll feel like they probably don't, but that's a different argument. But ultimately, I guess I'm just saying it's better to get rid of players that you don't see have plans for going forward, and don't sign players that you may regret signing later on, because they do have players coming back. Parties won't be suspended soon. He's back from AFCON. Pepe's back from AFCON. Could play up front. Let's work event. And Xhaka's back from suspension. So I do take your point though. I'll let you get back to your angry rant.
Xhaka's back from suspension is my favourite part of
that. Yeah. I can have an angry rant
in a couple of
games. Yeah. But work event will probably join him as well. But I do get your point, Barnes, in the fact that Arsenal have panic bought and they have just made nonsense loan signs as well. Whether it be Kim Kallstrom, Dennis Suarez, or to be fair, you can't really call Matt Ryan a nonsense loan sign because he was actually quite good for Arsenal when he played.
Yeah.
And he actually did give Leno good competition there. But I still think Arsenal, they still needed someone to get in this window. And the fact that, I mean, I think I won't just talk about Arsenal at this point, but I think for Man United as well, I think they haven't had a good window. All right, yeah, they've got rid of some of their deadwood, but they haven't brought anyone in, and they're losing players, Man United, and West Ham as well. I thought West Ham would have strengthened, maybe bring in Lingard. I mean, I don't know if that's going to happen. If Lingard's going to go.
even leaving? I saw a thing where he's been told he can't leave or something.
Yeah, I don't think he's leaving. I think he's staying.
Yeah, but for the teams that race for the top four, I mean, all right, there have been protests at the training ground today against Daniel Levy and Enoch, but I think Tottenham have done good business today. I mean, all right, they have got rid of their record signing on loan, and also I saw Lo Celso's gone to Villarreal, but
yeah, they've done okay. But
just throw those ones in there.
but I think them bringing in Kulusevski and Bentancur. Obviously, Bentancur was permanent. Kulusevski's an 18th month loan with an option to buy at the end. I think that is good. I think that is good business. I think that is very good business.
Are they not both loans? I thought they were both on loan.
I thought
Bentancur.
I thought Bentancur was permanent. I mean, I could be wrong.
There's no way a loan with option to buy, which is basically buying.
Yeah, but like for like the rest of the top four, I think like Spurs have done the best out of the 4 clubs I've named.
Okay, good. Chris, who has had the best window? Do you think though? Let's throw the question.
That's a very tricky one because pretty much I swear pretty much most of the teams in the Prem have literally just gone, oh, we better do some business now. It's coming towards the end of the window.
Busy.
Yeah.
It's gotten late, hasn't it? It's fun.
Yeah.
Not very Molly May of them, is it? They've had 24 hours. It's 24 hours in a day, guys.
They're all living it up in Dubai or the Maldives by the looks of it.
God.
Yeah. No. I think I will have to agree with Mr. I'll agree with Barnes on one thing, and that is I think Villa have had the best window just because they've identified what they needed early on in the window, and they just got the business done. I think Luca Digne is a massive upgrade on Matt Target. I mean, I saw Target's gone on loan to Newcastle today.
He's off target, you could say.
You could say he's off target.
Good.
Yeah.
You made a bend over joke in the first minute of this podcast.
Yeah, come on, Ed.
Ed, you can't talk.
There's levels to this game.
Going back, I think Coutinho is just fantastic sign. I mean, if Jar can get him back to the heights he probably won't get to the heights he was where he was at Liverpool, but if you get him to sort of around there, then it's a massive coup for Villa, and even someone like Callum Chambers. I mean, all right, I have sort of slagged him off a bit at times, but the fact that they brought someone in that can cover right back, centre back, or even if they want to play in centre defensive mid, he's a good versatile option back there. Maybe you might need a manager like Gerrard. Like obviously Gerrard has been quite known, like especially at his time as Rangers manager, for being quite a very good sort of man manager. So maybe you might need a manager like Gerrard to sort of get the best out of it. And I wish Callum Chambers well. I mean, he was at Arsenal for 7 years.
I love that.
And
I'll pass that message on.
Yeah.
Okay, so that's 2 Villas. Ed, what do you think about who's had the best? Which team in the Premier League has had the best transfer window?
I mean, they're few and far between, aren't they? I mean, I was looking at incomings, and like we've said, they've not really done a lot, the Premier League sides, until recently. There's not a wealth of players coming in. There's quite a lot of players going out. So then you go, right, okay, has anybody got a big transfer fee for somebody? And then maybe they've reinvested it a little bit, but kept hold of some of it. And you'd maybe look at Everton being one, because they got 25 million for Dean. You got Burnley, who have got 25 million for Chris Wood, and then reinvested 12 in Voghurst. This few and far between. I think I'm inclined to agree with the boys that Villa have had a very good window. I think if, like we all said at the time, if you can get Philippe Coutinho firing and match fit, and he can be a game changer, so it's a great signing for them. Like I've just said, Dean and Chambers are decent additions as well. I think Newcastle have had a good window. We were talking off air beforehand that they've signed the kind of caliber players that they should be signing, given where they are in the league. Yes, they've got loads of money, but I'm quite pleased that they're not just throwing money at players. You know, when they got their takeover, we were talking about, you know, are they going to get Dembele? Are they going to get Aaron Ramsey? All these players that are going to probably warrant like 300k a week. But they've kind of, like I said, they've gone for probably where they realistically are at the moment. They've also strengthened defensively, which I think is very important. Brought in 3 new defenders, because I think I said they need a whole new back 4. They've pretty much done that. Chris Wood up front. They've poached a player from one of their rivals, which is
good,
elite Housery. And then they've signed a chap from Lyon whose name I can't pronounce. Bruno. We'll call him
Bruno. Just Bruno. We don't talk about Bruno.
It's going to be interesting to see if he's got a clause in his contract about being sold if they go down. So imagine signing for Newcastle, think, oh yes, Premier League, and then you get relegated.
Do you reckon if they get, who do you reckon has spent the most in January and then got relegated that season?
It's got to be QPR. It's got to be QPR.
QPR.
Surely.
That's a really good shout, Chris.
I mean, like QPR just bought anyone and everyone back in the
They
day.
did.
It's like, oh, you're a former Premier League player, we'll have you. You're a former Premier League player, we'll have you as well.
Yeah. Oh, you've got a bit of flair. We'll have you, and
Yeah.
we'll throw money at you. Yeah.
Chris Samba, let's bring him in. Come on.
Yeah.
He's
Lloyd
You
Remy.
had to be over 32 years of age, didn't you? It was Chris Samba, Anton Ferdinand, Park Ji-sung,
Yossi Benayoun.
Yossi Benayoun, Alejandro Fowlin was on there as well. So yeah,
He was injured.
Was he? Yeah, well,
He was a permanently injured player.
Yeah. Okay, so Ed, are you going for Villa as well or not?
Yeah, I go for Villa as well.
Wow, Stevie G would be happy. Yeah, of course. That's really good. So let's take it down to a more granular level. Who is actually the best signing, do you think, of this transfer window? I think some of you have already sort of alluded to Coutinho. So this might be a really short segment. Do you all think Coutinho? Or is there a better signing that has been made by a club that's not Oxford United and Marcus Brown? Ash, kick us off.
Christian Eriksen to Brentford.
Oh, good.
I think this is definitely sentiment overtaking the brain here in terms of how good he'll actually be. But 9 months ago, obviously, he had a cardiac arrest on the pitch. We all know that. And yeah, 9 months later, he is signing for a really decent Premier League club who they're not quite out of the woods yet in terms of their, relegation goes. But I just think it's such a good story, and he could be excellent for them. I mean, they have been lacking a bit of creativity, especially in recent weeks and in the middle of the pitch. So he would actually, as well as just being a nice story, does actually fit quite well into their system. We mentioned before as well, they've got quite a lot of Danish players and sort of Danish people in the back room and the running of the club. So it's not 100% a surprise that he went there. But yeah, I just think it's a really nice story. But I think Coutinho, I'm not sure he's the best signing, because is he on loan or is he permanent? He's on loan, isn't he?
It's a loan, yeah. Best.
So it's one of them where if he hits the ground running, which it looks like he started quite well, then it may be a case that his value will go up and he'll have other suitors from, teams higher up in other leagues. So it's a tricky one. If Aston Villa could secure him permanently, then I'd say it would have been the best signing. But the fact that he's only on loan and I don't think there's an obligation to buy sort of says that although he might be very good, it will be temporary rather than permanent. Trippier is a good signing for Newcastle as well. And as Ed alluded to, Newcastle I think have signed well, because they've signed players that if they were to get relegated, they signed players that have a bit of championship experience and could get them straight back up. Like I think Dan Burn, Chris Wood, and Kieran Trippier have all played in the championship. So it's good to have players that have that experience in that league, because no matter how many millions you have, if they do get relegated, which is still a high possibility, then it's good to have players that are ready and know what to do in that league.
Definitely. Okay, Ed, what about you? Do you agree or disagree with what Ash has said there in terms of the best signing?
Yeah, I do. Window? I think I'll tell you what, I'll go Coutinho is the best loan signing, but I think the best permanent signing is Luis Diaz in terms of value for money. I think.
Is he the only person that Liverpool have signed?
Yeah, cool.
Who is he?
Oh, interesting. Yeah, who?
He is Porto's best player. He's a Colombian international, and we've got him for a fee of up to £45 million. I think he could be the next Diogo Jota. He's
still there. Diogo Jota's still the next Jota.
He's not part of the furniture now. The age-old thing with Liverpool is, what if one of your front three get injured? But this now hopefully will be coming towards the end of those excuses and those criticisms of Liverpool, because we've now got 5 very decent forward players that can fill those front three positions.
Do you think that's one eye on Salah potentially, Lee? Is he out of contract this summer?
I don't think so. I think it's a matter of time before. I think when he comes back from the African Cup of Nations, they'll announce his new contract. I have a feeling he may well have even agreed something. There were rumours on Twitter that he'd agreed a deal for a new contract. They were just waiting for the best time to announce it. So I think he'll be fine. Mane's probably the one, I think, maybe Firmino. Firmino's had a better season this year. He had a really poor year last year, as did Mane. But I think Firmino's upped his game a bit this year. Mane's the one for me that is still not getting the goals that he was two or 3 years ago. I was going to say XG. I don't want to say that.
Say XG.
His return in terms of goals and assists hasn't quite been as good as it was, and also with Salah just doing ridiculous numbers, it's very hard to keep up. But he's had a pretty decent African Cup of Nations. Senegal are through to the semis, so I think they'll do. I think, yeah, it's looking bright. The future's looking good, and we're also interested in a young player from Fulham, although I think they're driving a hard bargain. So we'll see if that one goes through.
Interesting. Okay. So Ed's gone for a Liverpool signing, which is boring. Chris, you can't go for an Arsenal signing because they haven't bloody signed anyone.
I know.
So who are you going to pick?
Marcus Brown.
You look like Sam Allardyce there, Chris, with your arms folded. I thought you were going to go Kevin Nolan.
Yeah, fish and chips, please.
Give me a pint of wine.
I think I will go for Luca Digne just because. All right, yeah, you could argue they may have overspent a little bit for him. You could argue, but end of the day, he is a French international fullback. You know, he's still getting the French national team. You've already seen that he's made an impact at Aston Villa. He got the assist for their winner against Everton. Obviously, we don't condone the action that the Everton fans done afterwards. The whole bottle. That's stupid from them, but. Yeah, and again, I think, I think Digne will flourish under a manager like Gerrard. I mean, at Rangers saw how he got the best out of Borna Barisic at left back, where Barisic, he was getting quite a few assists down the left-hand side. And I think if you're a Danny Ings or a Ollie Watkins, you're thinking, oh yeah, going to have someone like Digne that can cross the ball into us. And Ed, you got your hand up.
I do. I want to put my virtual hand up. There is some breaking news coming from Sky Sports.
Breaking news! Oh my God!
Barcelona have agreed a deal to sign Aubameyang, and it is a permanent one, not a loan deal.
Wow!
I called it.
He is doing a medical this evening. Arsenal are set to make a £25 million saving on his wages. Oh, there you go,
Chris. What do you think about that as the Arsenal fan?
I think it needs to happen. I mean, obviously, he's had his disciplinary issues. Don't get me wrong. Like, I'm one of them that I think Aubameyang, he has been a good servant for the club. He has scored quite a lot of goals for Arsenal. You know, helped us win the FA Cup.
Club captain for a time.
Yeah, club captain for a time, yes. But obviously, with the disciplinary issues, he couldn't be captain anymore. And
just bloody loves tattoos, that man.
Yeah,
wrapping Lamborghinis in gold.
Not only that, like again, like Arteta had to set a precedent, or he already set a precedent, shall I say? Like obviously, when he throws up Guendouzi and Özil for their for their issues off the pitch, if you will, and he couldn't obviously change his stance on Aubameyang. So I think it's a good deal, sort of all around. I mean. I was quite worried for Barcelona. Obviously, with them bringing Adama Traore back to the club, I was wondering when they're going to sign Britta Sombalonga and get Middlesbrough 2017-2018 front three. Maybe they have tried to sign a Sombalonga.
They just got his name wrong.
Yeah.
They got Aubameyang instead of a Sombalonga.
Oh, we got Aubameyang instead.
Damn it.
But, another sign that I will point out, and it's a sign that's done today. It's more for the future, this one, but I think Man City signing Julian Alvarez for the future from River Plate is a very good signing. I'm not just saying that because he's an FM wonder kid, and obviously all of us FM players were fuming because it's like, no, we can't sign him for our club anymore. He's not going to be the cheap wonder kid we raid from River Plate and that. But what is it? He's a 22-year-old. He finishes the top goal scorer in the Argentinian league last year. And you can imagine like someone like him flourishing under a manager like Guardiola, and that. And Man City needed a striker. I mean, all right, they are doing very well to be top of the league at the minute, pretty much without a striker. I mean, you could argue Jesus is a striker, but I know Pep's even played him out wide, even when he hasn't had strikers, and that he's actually played someone else through the middle and Jesus out wide. So I think it's a very good deal for Manchester City in terms of looking, towards next season already.
Yeah, very good. I can't wait for Pep to play Julian Alvarez in like right wing back or something in his weird position and rotation systems that Pep does, which is probably going to happen. It's an interesting one that you brought up Adama Traore. I wanted to open up the question to you boys. What's been like the weirdest transfer? Doesn't have to be Premier League or whatever, but I think the Adama Traore to Barcelona was very weird. I even think this Aubameyang thing is quite weird. Obviously, the Weghorst thing is a bit weird because they announced him as he was like a T-Rex, which I still don't get. Is that his nickname? Does he do a celebration, which is a dinosaur? I don't get it.
Is it because he's massive, like
Is it
a
because
T-Rex?
Yeah, got tiny arms. Is that Jordan Pickford? I don't know.
I think the Christian Eriksen one at Brentford was unexpected, not weird, but just kind of came out of nowhere. But yeah, Adama Traore Barcelona's transfer business in general is just mental.
What are they trying? That weird though?
What are they trying to build? How many forwards have they got? They've got so many attacking
At least they're
players.
not spending money. At least they're being stupid without spending actual lots of money. Unless they're spending, they've got to buy so much baby oil. unless does Adama Traore come with the baby oil? I don't know. That's probably in the contract.
Sponsored.
I don't feel the Traore signing is that weird. I think the Aubameyang one is weirder than Traore. I mean, Traore, you remember, used to play for Barcelona, so he does have links there. So it's not completely sort of out the blue of why. And Tottenham, if he'd gone to Tottenham, I think we'd be saying it was a decent signing. So I don't see why.
I just think from his point of view, why would you go? Because I feel like he won't be starting every week.
Yeah, I suppose it's the whole new camp, the sort of it's still Barcelona. Whatever's happening in terms of their finances is still Barcelona. It's still 90,000, watching every other week. Huge sort of celebrity that surrounds the club. They're still probably going to be in the Champions League, although I'm not actually sure they're in the Champions League places in La Liga. But it just brings that status, doesn't it, being at Barcelona or Real Madrid?
Yeah. Well, they got knocked into Europa League as well, didn't they? Because they finished third in their group.
Oh, that is going to be weird, yeah.
It's going to be no offense to Barcelona, I think that's going to be very weird.
West Ham, Barcelona at the Olympic Stadium.
God. Can you imagine? Can you imagine us against Rubin Kazan or No, that's actually I don't want to disrespect Rubin Kazan because they played in the Champions League. Who's a Europa League team that's terrible, like Karabag. No offense, Karabag, but offense caused. But who knows? Anyway, let's just move to a slightly tangential subject here of relegation predictions. Now that we've still got 3 hours, 3 minutes of the transfer window. Who do you boys think? Who, after all the signings that have been made in January, who do you guys think will actually get relegated this year? Because I don't think Norwich have made a signing. I don't think. Who else? Newcastle obviously made quite a few. Leeds have brought in
loads. There's loads of teams that haven't made any signings. I've just flicked through my notebook to see who I tipped for relegation at the start of the season.
If I'd have done more work, I would have got your predictions from earlier.
I think it's on the. Have a look on the Google Doc. I'm pretty sure they're all on there. I went for.
Speak amongst yourselves.
I went for Watford, Norwich, and praise be Crystal Palace. because as we remember, I was very, very critical of Crystal Palace in the summer.
Critical Palace.
Patrick Vieira didn't have enough experience and that they had a very aging squad, a lot of which were out of contract, but he's done a great job, to be fair. I mean, they're very much in a decent position. Norwich, as we just mentioned, haven't really signed anyone. I think they're quite happy to just be that yo-yo club that they've become, where they come up from the Championship and then they go back down again and take the parachute payments and then they come back up again because they've got some fairly decent young players and a decent core squad. So I think they're destined for the flames, really, aren't they? Watford's an interesting one. They've signed, 4 players in January?
One sounds like Solomon Kalou, but it's not.
All of them.
Samuel Kalou.
Yeah.
I thought it was Solomon Kalou.
And I think 3 of them started against Norwich when they lost, didn't they? So, I mean,
I
know you've got to allow time for them to bed into the club and understand the way the manager wants to play, but it's not a great start, is it? Because some of them were defenders. I think 2 of them were defenders and 1 was a centre mid.
Yeah,
not great. They have a manager.
Yeah. Now they got a new manager to work with.
Exactly.
Their old manager.
So yeah, I mean, Watford is Roy Hodgson the man that's going to get them out of trouble? I don't know. He's very experienced, but I don't think has he been in a real relegation dogfight, really? I mean, he was.
No.
No,
He was quite
decent.
well at Fulham.
Yeah, he was
Yeah,
good.
he was
I was
decent at
thinking,
Fulham.
Palace, but I don't think they ever really came that close to going down. They always just sort of flirted with it, didn't they?
He came in when they were struggling,
Yeah,
didn't he? Because obviously they started off with De Boer that season, but then they finished 12th that season.
yeah.
Managed to turn it
And like
around.
they had and in that squad they had a lot of very experienced Premier League players, whereas in this Watford side there are a couple, but not many. And like all the players they've signed don't have Premier League experience. Two of them are from France. One's from Udinese. I don't even know where UPEM play. What league are they from? So yeah, I think
Belgium.
are they
Belgium.
okay? Cheers, Chris.
UPEM.
Good knowledge.
Cheers, Chris.
So
Good
yeah,
knowledge.
I think they're as good as gone. Newcastle, Burnley, Everton are in trouble. I think Frank's got a real job on his hands there.
I can't believe he's got that job.
Yeah,
I really can't.
yeah. And then Newcastle, I think they should. They're looking more promising. And Burnley have got so many bloody games to play that surely they'll win a couple.
Yeah, Chris, you did antagonise the whole of Burnley. One guy in particular was just like, we've played like 4 games this season, so we're going to be fine because we've got a billion games in hand. So that man is technically right. So maybe Burnley will live again.
Possibly. I mean, you never know.
You don't believe so, but
no, no, absolutely not. I mean, I remember my predictions very vividly. I said Watford would finish rock bottom, and
okay,
they might not finish rock bottom, but I can't see them, not finishing in the bottom 3 if that makes sense. So I think they're still definites to go down. I said Southampton, but Southampton, fair play to Hassan, who another brilliant season.
Yeah.
From him. I mean, they're the only team that Man City haven't beaten this season in the Prem. Managed to get 2 draws against them.
Wow.
I mean, obviously, I did say if they were to stay up, obviously keeping James Ward-Prowse was huge. Obviously, he has been, again, he's had another phenomenal season for them. And I think they did kind of business in the summer. Obviously, Brogier's been good signing for them. That Salas's improved massively from when he first started as well. So
remember his first game, he was awful. I'm pretty sure. Did he get sent off?
He didn't get sent off. But funny enough, I was against Everton because I remember he let a ball go past him. Like obviously as a defender, if in doubt you get the ball out, but he just stopped in that. But obviously they're not in danger. I did say Newcastle was just a very weird one to predict because don't get me wrong, they have done good business. It's just whether they'll all gel together. Because that's the thing, that the confidence at St. James's Park still isn't there. All right, yeah, they've had that big takeover and that lifted the crowd a bit. But I've seen Newcastle fans on Twitter call Eddie Howe the Peloton Steve Bruce.
Oh wow! I don't even know what that means.
I do.
Skinnier fitness version of Steve Bruce, I presume.
Yeah.
I think Steve Bruce. Don't need to body shame Steve Bruce.
Yeah, I know. Yeah, I mean, we worry about Steve Bruce on this podcast.
We do. We really do.
And say that, Steve, please do not take the Sunderland job. Please, for your health, please do not take the Sunderland job.
They are a massive club. But
they are a passionate fan base as well. But it's very. I mean, maybe I'm just saying this because obviously I predicted Norwich for a dark horse, and that it's like maybe I'm too stubborn to say Norwich are gonna stay up. Norwich, I think I'm a bit stubborn, thinking, Norwich are gonna stay up. They're gonna be fine. But I can't. Burnley. Don't get me wrong. I genuinely think Weghorst is a very good signing. Them. I'm very surprised that he's gone to a club like Burnley because I don't know if it was last season's Bundesliga or the season before, but I say he was up there. Obviously, Lewandowski's in a league of his own, and so is Erling Haaland. But I think Weghorst was at least in the top 5 in terms of goal scorers in the Bundesliga. And I'm surprised, like, if you look at, if you're a Newcastle, you should be thinking, well, because I think Weghorst's record at Wolfsburg was like 70 goals in 144 games, which is nearly a goal every other game. And if Burnley have only signed for 12 million, surely Newcastle's owners must be thinking, why didn't we go in for him?
Like, I mean, like they've made a profit of 13 million basically on a striker. They've lost Chris Wood, who scored maybe 10 goals a season for them, if that. And then they've got this new, big European version of him. So
Well, that's he's a Holland international. He's a Netherlands international. Obviously, they get a bit weird with the whole Holland.
Come on, don't annoy the whole of the Dutch.
Yeah,
people.
Dutch international. I should have just said Dutch international. Then I wouldn't have got into trouble.
Yeah.
But that's the thing. Dutch international striker who was playing for them in the Euros and that. But I'm only going to swap out Southampton and put Burnley in there. I'm going to stick to Newcastle going down. I'm a stubborn man. Norwich are staying up. Or praise be to Josh Sargent,
who was one of the worst footballers I've ever seen when he played against Brighton. He's missed like 2 open goals, and then he did score. It was an okay goal. I wouldn't say it was great. It was lucky, I think.
He just threw a limb at it, didn't he?
He threw a limb. You can't. Everyone's saying he's the greatest player in the world, Ballon d'Or. God, no. He just flung a limb in it. I've done that on the dance floor, and I've been shouted at. So,
Yeah, I think I said it. I think I said it on the pod that he's potentially one of the worst Premier League players I've ever seen. And then he went and scored 2 pretty decent goals against Watford, didn't he? It's just like, come on.
So the bar is low for Josh, but he's surpassing it. Ash, I don't know if you remember your Premier League relegation predictions, but if you do, please say, and if you don't, just say 3 names or so you think might be relegated.
Well, I feel like you'll think I'm lying, but I'm pretty sure I did say Burnley, Watford, Newcastle, who are the current bottom 3.
I was going to say
it's very convenient.
It is very convenient. However, I am going to take this opportunity to redo my prediction.
Reload.
Backtrack you easily.
Very much a huge backtrack. And it is, sadly, like Josh Sargent's Premier League career, I think it'll be a bit of a flash in the pan for Norwich, their recent success. And they will be heading back to the Champions. I think they have been quite good in the last 2 games, but the teams they've played against have played atrociously. Like Watford were horrific. I just think they are in a bit of form, and they're maybe not as terrible as some people said, but that doesn't mean they're good. And I think they have the weakest squad in the Premier League. So with other teams improving around them, I'm pretty sure they've done next to no kind of business in January. It just kind of feels like they will go down, and they'll probably do well in the Championship. So I'm going to have Norwich City in there. Despite Watford getting Roy the Boy, who I am a big fan of, and I think he will do well there, I just feel like they haven't given him enough time, and the club is like, that performance against Norwich was so bad. I know they can pull out the odd performance. I think I can't remember when they beat Liverpool. It might have been, was it this season? It might have been like 2 seasons ago. But they're just that kind of team that do have a performance in them and can pull out the bag. But on a consistent basis, I just can't see it. So I think Watford are going to go down last. I'm struggling here between Burnley and Newcastle. I think it's going to go right down to the wire with Burnley and Newcastle. Burnley have all these games in hand. The problem is with this, it could go either way. Like if they hit a good run of form and they play twice a week for like 4 weeks in a row, and they're in good form, they're going to pick up wins and they might stay up. If they get a couple of injuries or they hit a bad run of form and they've got all those games, they're going to really, really struggle. So, I don't know. The thing is, I feel like with Burnley, with Sean Dyche, you kind of just feel like they're going to do it somehow. And Newcastle, you can very much see the tragic story of them like getting so close. They're about to stay up, and then Burnley run up behind them with all these games in hand and then jump them in like the last game of the season.
It wouldn't be that
That'd
tragic,
be very...
I don't think. I have little sympathy.
Yeah. But you know what I mean. The narrative would be in full flow. Like,
but
that's
funny.
But funny. I think we are going to be seeing a goodbye to Burnley and Sean Dyche. So I'm going to put them in the relegation. So it's going to go Burnley, Watford, Norwich. I think the only team that could possibly get brought into that sort of relegation battle would be Brentford. I mean, they've lost their last 4 games. They've got loads of injuries. As I said, although I do think Christian Eriksen is a great signing, you don't know how it's going to go, obviously, with him coming back from that, serious illness. So, yeah, it's an interesting one. But yeah, I'm going to go for Norwich, Watford, Burnley, bottom 3.
Wonderful. Ed, do you need to go?
Yes, I need to drop. Sorry, dear viewers, but
Ed's having dinner. What are you having? Do you know?
Tomato and feta pasta bake of some description.
That sounds really
believe.
nice. That sounds really nice.
Oh, that does sound lovely.
That
Yeah.
sounds really lovely.
Egypt to win the AFCON.
Okay,
is my
great.
final take.
Thanks for that.
Do with that what you will.
Okay, maybe we'll talk about AFCON, maybe we won't. You have to watch and find
Okay.
out, Ed.
I
Bye,
will
Ed.
do. Cheers, chaps.
Bye, Ed. Bye-bye.
Bye, Ed.
So the awkward thing here is that Ed wanted to do an AFCON recap, and I said to him, "Oh, I haven't watched any of the AFCON, so you're going to have to kind of lead that segment," and he's just left. All I know is that Egypt won a game because he said it about 2 minutes ago, or maybe 20 seconds ago when he left. So, lads, what's happening in Do you know what's happening in AFCON? Because this is really bad from me that I don't know what's happening in AFCON. I think Ash is furiously clicking away to look at AFCON results.
No, I'm actually not. I was
okay.
I have
I've been
been
keeping up to
sort
date.
of keeping up with AFCON. I know who the semi-final is or are, so that's a good
Who
start.
are the semi-finalists for the African Cup of
I think
Nations?
it's Burkina Faso, Senegal is one of them, and then I think it's Egypt, Cameroon.
It is. On Wednesday is the Burkina Faso Senegal game, and then Thursday is Cameroon versus Egypt, both at 7:00.
And the Egypt Cameroon game, I think, is a true is a massive match in terms of African football. I think they're probably the two most decorated in terms of AFCON's titles. I think Cameroon have won the most, and then Egypt the second most. Cameroon are obviously the hosts, so huge game in the tournament. Probably two of the pre-match. The pre-tournament favourites, sorry. So it'd be interesting to see how that goes. Although Cameroon have looked a bit sloppy in recent games. Like they had that match where, who was it against again, where they had like 9 players and one left back in goal, and they only beat them.
Comoros.
Comoros,
Yeah.
they only beat them like 1-0. So that or was it 2-1? That
2-1,
worries
yeah.
me slightly. And Egypt, although they started slowly under Carlos Queiroz, and he plays the most boring football in the world. He's the most boring manager ever, but I feel like he might bore, all the rest of the teams to victory and eventually win it. But yeah, I'm still holding out hope for Cameroon. I mean, they are the host, so they could do something.
Who are the current holders? Is it Algeria?
Algeria.
Yeah,
Okay,
and
cool.
they got knocked out in the group stage. I mean, it's just a shame Jack's not here, so we can rub it in that obviously he predicted that they was going to win it, and yeah, they didn't have a good tournament, did they? I think they only scored 1 goal, and that was and they lost 3-1 in the last game to Ivory Coast.
It's a real shame for our Algerian fans.
Yeah, obviously I said Senegal to win it, and I'm very, very happy that they've reached the semi-final. So I wouldn't say they've looked convincing at all. Like the group stages, they were horrendous. They only scored 1 goal, and it was a last-minute penalty to beat Zimbabwe.
Respect. They were the last time out runners-up. So can they go one better this year, or will they go one less by not even getting there?
I hope they obviously, with me saying that they're going to win it, I kind of hope that they do go one better. And you look at their squad, you think that they should probably go one better because
decent squad, isn't it? We've discussed it before. It's a good squad.
You just got to look at the spine of the team. It's a very decent spine. Like obviously, Mendy in goal, Koulibaly centre back. You got Idrissa Gana Gueye in the centre midfield, and all right, Mane's a bit more of a winger because they played former Bristol City striker Famara Diédhiou up front,
of course.
And he scored yesterday. To be fair.
Oh, there you go. I don't know why you're slagging him off, Chris.
Who's he play for, Chris? Now, do you know? Or
I think he plays in Turkey. I wouldn't know which. He doesn't play for the mighty Adanaspor.
Oh, okay.
I got the shirt. Or he doesn't play for the mighty Trabzonspor either.
Oh, sorry to completely derail this AFCON chat, but
please.
Chris just reminded me something because he mentioned Turkey. Mario Balotelli back in the Italian squad.
That's huge. That is absolutely huge.
And I think for his Turkish club, which I have no idea what they're called, but insert name here, Spor.
It begins with A. It's A.
Spor.
I think it's Adana Demirspor, who are Adana Spors.
Yeah.
Anyway, they're like 4th in the Turkish league, led by Mario Balotelli up front, and he's actually doing well. Wow. So that's fun.
Yeah. Fair play to Mario Balotelli. I'm just trying to find out what the goals per game thing is in. So on the Wikipedia page for the AFCON, for some reason they have for every single tournament they have a goals per match stat, which I don't know if that happens on every single other people's respective Europe competitions for their region, but I don't know why. Like last time out was the most in 2019 was the most goals ever scored in AFCON in an AFCON tournament, 102, but that was an average of 1.96 goals per game. In 1962, there was an average of 4.5 goals per game. What a tournament that was!
Yeah.
Remember it well.
I remember it well. Great tournament. I just feel like I remember when this tournament started with like 1-0 wins pretty much all over the shop, didn't it? So I don't think the goals per game is gonna match the 4.5 of 1962.
Yeah, but like we said when we was doing like our sort of like preview of the AFCON, like we pretty much said what was going to happen, that there's going to be controversial moments, obviously with the whole ref blowing the whistle like literally 5 minutes before the end, and then he blew with no stoppage time. Turns out the whole sunstroke, but not just controversy, but in terms of obviously the bigger nations. So obviously we already mentioned Algeria. We'll mention it again just to make Ginge feel a bit bad.
He's not even here, Chris. It's so rude.
Well, he should be watching this. Obviously, Ghana didn't have a good tournament either, and obviously, as from an Arsenal point of view, I was kind of like, oh yes, we're getting Thomas Partey, or as I like to call him, Thomas Work Event back sooner. But then he proceeded to get sent off in the second leg against Liverpool. But it's also been a great tournament to see the underdogs doing well. Like obviously, we mentioned Comoros earlier, like phenomenal to get out of their group, and consider what happened against Cameroon. They put up a really. I watched the game. They put up a really good fight with 10 men for pretty much the whole entire game, and obviously their left back in goal as well, and Onana to actually make really good saves for Cameroon to sort of keep Comoros at bay. And like another sort of little nation that done quite well was Gambia. Gambia got to the quarterfinals. I think Cameroon, it was a bit of a step too far with Cameroon sort of outclassing them that. But then again, Burkina Faso have had another brilliant tournament. I mean, even if they lose in the semi-finals against Senegal, it's one of them. They're not really the well-known African nations in terms of from a footballing perspective, but they've had a phenomenal tournament, and fair play to them to get to the semi-finals.
Yeah, I like how Chris has just basically gone through every single African nation there. But that's nice. I will caveat the 1962 AFCON with the 4.5 goals per game. There were only 4 games in that particular tournament, and in 1957 there was only 2 games. So that was a 3.5 goals per game average. So I'll leave you at that. But anyway. That we've gone for 50-ish minutes. We'll call it there. Unless you guys have anything else you want to bring up.
Go on, Chris.
To be fair, obviously it's been a while since we talked on this podcast, so I think we might as well talk a bit about the 2 new managers. Obviously, we love talking about a sack and an early bath, if you will. We do like talking about.
And who was that early bath, Chris?
Well, there was 2, weren't there? Obviously, there was Ranieri, obviously being sacked by Watford, which I remember when Cisco got sacked. Like Barnes was one of the ones that said, "Oh, Ranieri's probably going to be the next favourite to lose his job." I mean, all right, he wasn't the next to lose his job, but I think there was 3 or 4 managers before him that lost their jobs, and then Watford doing a Watford just sacked their manager. But I think he had to go because. Like 10 defeats in 13 games is just
it's not good.
Very good.
It's not good.
It's not good. And and you could probably tell that the players didn't buy into his tactics. I mean, it is a shame that obviously I think what Ranieri did at Leicester, but I think maybe the Prem's too much for sort of his style of management nowadays. I think Ranieri should sort of stick to firefight in Serie A, like if he wants another job back in football.
Yeah.
And like all right. Don't get me wrong, like Roy Hodgson could be a good appointment in the short term, but I just think Watford, what's the long-term goal with Watford? Are they just going to be another?
Well, here we go, Chris. I'll take you up on that. I think Watford's long-term goal is to be as short-term as possible. I genuinely think their model is let's just get in a manager for a year or whatever, 6 months, whatever it is, and then they'll do their job. And as soon as it starts to go bad, we'll just get someone else in. I think their long-term model is just be as short-term as possible. And as silly as that sounds, it does work for them. Like when they go down, they are up like straight away. There is a weird consistency there. So I don't know. That's my view on it.
Yeah, and not that I suppose like when you do like talk to like Watford fans about it, they like people do criticise the Pozzo family, but Watford fans like fair play to them, and obviously it's a fact.
They get investment. They do. The managers are given money to spend.
Yeah, and like they have had their most successful period in their history under the Pozzos as well, where they have spent many seasons in the Prem and obviously got to a FA Cup final and FA Cup semi-final as well, which is fair enough to them. But I don't think Roy will keep them up. But like Lampard to Everton's an interesting one because it's kind of like, why didn't they appoint him in the summer? Why did they go through this whole saga with Rafa Benitez? If you wanted to get a younger manager with a long-term vision, why did you not get Frank Lampard in the summer? I mean, he was available, and I think Lampard would have went in the summer. I mean, all right, the whole thing with FFP with Everton, with obviously like we was mentioned, like when we was talking about Rafa, that he had to go bargain hunting, obviously bringing like Gray and Townsend in. But I think Lampard would have still went to Everton. I mean, Everton are a massive club. Like, they've got a huge fan base. They are, all right, they haven't been successful in our lifetime, but they are a historically successful club. And it just baffles me as to why they went through the whole Rafa thing to just bring Lampard in now. But I think Lampard will do a good job there. I think he'll steady the ship. I did say on the last pod that they were in danger of relegation. They could still be in danger of relegation.
They could, definitely.
But I think Lampard will have the same effect as what Gerrard's had at Aston Villa, if you will. But even just saying that, it just feels nostalgic. Like we grew up in that sort of 2000s era of the Prem, and just seeing Lampard, Gerrard, Vieira managing teams.
Oh, I don't care about that. I don't care about Lampard. Lampard didn't deserve the Everton job. I don't care, Chris. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
I don't want to shatter your dream there.
Yeah. But come on. From a nostalgic point of view,
maybe if the day Mido becomes a manager for a Premier League side, alongside Brett Emerton, and I don't know, I can't think of anyone else. Who was the guy that played for Hull? Giovanni. Then I'll be happy, Chris. Then I'll be happy.
Okay.
Wow,
sorry, I just really flipped there. I'm really sorry.
I'll give my Lampard thoughts. It's a strange one because we had a long conversation on the group chat about. I think me and you, Tang, were quite critical of the appointment, or even that he was being linked with the job, and I think it was Owen and a few others were saying that it was a good opportunity for an English manager. I think that is actually, it's a difficult one because part of me thinks I do want Lampard to succeed at Everton, and he's a young English manager. He talks a good game. He's good in the press. He comes across well. He did okay at Derby. Probably did the minimum amount of success required to keep his job there in terms of getting him to playoffs, and he beat a decent Leeds team on the route to that. His Chelsea times first season, he was hamstrung by FFP, and he brought through a lot of young players. That these are all true, but I don't know. With Lampard, it all feels a bit. There's not actually much substance behind the sort of image of him, and I think he'll keep Everton up, but I'm not sure that's a particularly difficult
not a great
task,
thing to say.
Given the players that they have, they should easily be staying in the Premier League. What I worry about is the same thing that I spoke about with Gerrard and Aston Villa. Some people might think this is sort of BS, but I worry about with these kind of clubs that what is their ambition? Like, say Lampard keeps Everton up, where do they want to go next season? Are they happy to finish 12th? Do they want to finish 6th? Where do they want? Because if they want to finish in the top 6, say, or 7th, I just think it's going to be really hard for a manager such as Lampard or even Gerrard to really get to that level, because from what I've seen so far, especially of Lampard, there's been not that much evidence that he can take, a team and move them forward over a longer period of time. I think he'll have an impact when he goes in. I think players will respect him. I think Donny van der Beek and Dele Alli obviously both play similar positions to what he played. They'll look at Lampard. He's a well-known name. I think they'll do quite well. I just think it's more of a long-term problem of where do we go. But I hope it works out for me as a young English manager.
Yeah.
We should probably be giving him a bit of a chance. I think I was probably being a bit harsh saying, they shouldn't go for him because who's really else is out there? We were all struggling to come up with people.
Yeah.
So, he's got this chance now. Let's see what he does. I think it'll be interesting
Fingers crossed,
anyway.
Frank.
Fingers crossed. Hope it goes well. But yeah, Ranieri was a shite appointment. So
Yeah.
I'm
And
not
on
shocked
that
he's
note,
gone.
anyway, on that note, yeah, there's interesting words to think about there, and we'll see how Frank Lampard gets on. Because I didn't even know who was announced today. I completely missed that. I was too busy working, but that was announced. Anyway, it's nice to be back. We've been away for a couple of weeks, but it's good to be back talking football. We've gone for about an hour, just over an hour. That was a nice little 10 minutes we just filled there. Anyway, do like and subscribe for more content like this, where we talk about, Ed talks about stupid primary school jokes, and we talk about Chris's haircut. Do subscribe for that type of content. We'll be back at some point, hopefully this week, maybe next week. It really depends on timings. We're just very busy people. It's just how life is. But no, we do really appreciate it. We are back. Chris, you're going to say something?
I was going to say, in the famous words of Ronan Keating, life is like a roller coaster.
Oh, lovely. Life is like a roller coaster. So yeah, on Ronan Keating's note, everyone go. May the transfer gods in the next 2.5 hours bring you every signing that your club wish for. Oxford might sign Jermaine Defoe, fingers crossed. But yeah, I hope everyone gets the signings that they want. And yeah, I don't know who
apart
else.
from Blackpool,
apart from Blackpool,
Brannigan.
You do not get Cameron Brannigan, Blackpool. Just don't. Yeah, this goes out to all the non-Blackpool fans.
Yeah.
So yeah, happy transfer deadline day, everyone, and goodbye.